use the word rougher on the edges.
I don't think I said anything wrong, to be honest with you. I would hope that Gabby is a little bit more mature than that. She didn't like that. I've been comparing, right? I've been comparing my ex to, like this.
Do you know why I'm talking to you right now?
No, Rachel, I don't.
You don't know.
I'm assuming it's about Rambo.
About the dog?
Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Maribel Blue Unfiltered, and we are talking about episode 4 of The Bachelorette. I am not going to waste any time. I was editing my last video and literally I had to chop it in half. There was content in there that I just could not include because I'm trying to make these videos as short as I possibly can. So we are going to get into the drama right away because this was the most important part of last night's episode. I'm recording this on Tuesday. I intend to have it up as soon as possible. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please consider hitting that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you will get notified when I upload new videos. And of course, if you are coming back, welcome back. I would love to hear your comments about all of the last videos that I've put up regarding The Bachelor. What are your thoughts? What do you think is going on? What do you definitely think of Monday night's episode and everything that happened? We are going to start from the end of the show and work our way down. Like I said, these are going to be just highlights, and we're going to talk about the most important parts of what happened on episode 4 of The Bachelorette. Let us begin. Women are now in Paris, while the men are still back in LA. Jesse Palmer comes in. He tells them that the women are no longer there. You know, it has to be this whole dramatic thing, like the way Chris Harrison used to do. And they are now in Paris. Of course, the men are going to understand that they will also be joining them in Paris, France. However, the trick was that 2 men would go ahead, and those 2 men are who Gabby and Rachel picked for their one-on-one date. That was Tino. Of course, that was a given. And the other guy was Jason. And let me tell you something. I was looking at him. I think he's my new wow guy. He is a really, really cute. Definitely somebody who is my type. But Gabby has him, so I just have to fantasize for now. As they are waiting for the guys to arrive, they're busy having this casual conversation about how they're feeling for the guys, this whole separate journey, and how it's working much better for them. Now we're going to fast forward to the men on Rachel's side, especially Logan. We all know that Meatball is back. Like I said in my last video, which I will post the link down below, that Meatball made his claim or whatever it was to want to come back. In the beginning of the episode, Hayden, who is no longer the wow guy, was disparaging Rachel and Gabby. He was just really shit talking them. It was so awful. The things that was coming out of his mouth. It was almost as if now the true colors emerge of how he really feels, not just about Gabby and Rachel, but about women in general. I don't know how I even pick them. Even on television, I make messed up choices when it comes to men. I don't know what it is. Universe, please fix it, because I do not want to even claim it through the television. It's insane. So I had to record this. I'm cracking up because I said from the beginning when I was talking about Hayden, I compared him to grocery store Joe. And at that time, I didn't realize why until I was watching another video where they compared him to grocery store Joe because they look alike. So perhaps I do have a type. What I really treasured was Meatball's reactions to everything that Hayden was saying. He was just, it was almost as if he was like a fly on the wall, but physically there and just listening and taking everything in because he knew the more that Hayden talked, he was going back and telling Rachel, regardless of what the situation was, how Hayden was expressing it, and talking about Gabby and saying, oh, well, she was the one who said that she was rough around the edges. So I'm just repeating what she said. Hello, stupid. No, that's not the way it works, idiot. Sorry to be going off on the deep end right now, but I'm not in a good mood, even though like I'm smiling and I put on my makeup. My hair is a freaking mess. It's actually humid out here in Arizona. So and then just everything else that has gone around me late this afternoon, I'm just done. So if I come across like I am mad, it's because I am. And continuing on. Here's my thing. And I have to go there with it, okay? One of the things that bothers me is how people think that it is okay to either address or talk about a person a certain way because they said that about themselves. That's not the way it actually works. Usually, when people are saying things about themselves, when Gabby was saying she was rough around the edges, she wasn't disparaging herself when she was saying that. She was just basically saying she is a woman who has stuff that has gone on in her life. She's going through therapy, she's working through it. Everything is a work in progress. She's not this perfect person that no one should expect her to be. And for Hayden to take that out of context and make it seem like she's rough around the edges and she's not perfect enough for me. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with anybody, not just the male persuasion, with anybody who feels the need to sit back and tell you, well, you're not where you need to be. So maybe we should not so much like take a break. Instead of just coming outright and saying what it is that they feel, they want to pass along those feelings on you and make you feel terrible because they feel that way about themselves. And here's where the problem lies. Hayden has a lot of issues. And now we're going to fast forward to Hayden at the rose ceremony. Hayden whips out this book. And I'm like, okay. And he starts talking about his dog. And he's telling Rachel about, I forget his dog's name too. Did I write it down? I can't even remember if I wrote the shit down. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So I didn't write the name of the dog, but let's just say for argument's sake, the dog's name is Rusty, because I could have sworn it started with an R or something like that. Rover. I can't really remember. He whips out this book. He's talking about the dog. He's showing pictures, and Rachel's like, oh, how nice, whatever. And I'm saying to myself, what is the point to this? Like, it's great that you have a dog and you love the dog. But then he starts getting into the whole thing with the dog having some kind of brain tumor and the dog's head collapse. Horrible. Let me tell you something. I'm an animal person. I have dogs and cats, and I have lost animals due to cancer. It's very, very awful to lose your animal from a disease, no matter what it is that you do. In this case, let's just say, for example, I am pursuing a bachelor and I go and I whip out a book and I'm like, hey, here's my cat. I've had her for 18 years. And, right away, any man is going to think, oh my God, she's like a crazy cat lady, because that's what people, like women, got referred to, like back in the early 2000s. If you had like tons of cats and you were single, whatever, you were like considered a crazy cat lady and undateable. Not true. Let me just say that up front. Not true. In the case with what was going on with Hayden, when he whips out this book and he's going over the dog, and this was his point. Okay, like I know that my dog is dying, but look at how far I've come to be with you and get to know you. I've sacrificed my whole life of getting away from my dog so I could be with you. Do you hear how that sounds? Anybody? It doesn't sound very nice. It kind of sounds like, well, you know what? On a scale of being on television and pursuing a woman who's like a bitch, because that's what he said, I am going to show her what I'm doing, what I'm sacrificing in my life. You see where all of this is going, okay? Me, 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 me. Everything is about Hayden. It was nothing about the journey of love, of getting to know her. What do we know about Hayden? We know that he has a dog and the dog is dying. If it hasn't died already, rest in peace. And I'm not making fun of the dog. I want to be very, very clear on that. The thing is, if you are on this journey, Nate, for example, left a young daughter. There's nothing wrong with her. She's healthy, she's fine. But he's making a sacrifice in leaving his child so that he can find love on this unconventional setting called The Bachelorette. We have seen that in many years of this franchise, of people sacrificing their lives, leaving their jobs, leaving their families so they can go on this 3-month journey, or however long it is that they are recording this show, just so that people can do this. People have lost jobs, people have left jobs for this. Hayden left his dog. So, therefore, we should recognize that he left a dying dog for the sake of, I don't know what, I can't even call it love. I'm like so dumbfounded at this whole thing. Then, wait, then to top it all off, it's not even over. To top that, okay, after he's showing her all of these pictures of his dog, Tino comes in asking if he could interrupt. I don't think I've seen an interruption in the last 3 episodes. If anything, during the group date, on Gabby's group date, that Rachel decided to bring all of her guys there, she got upset because no guys surrounded her while the whole group date fight was going on. The guys were into what was going on. I didn't know that they were supposed to stop and give her hugs or whatever. Yes, I get the whole thing. Again, I'm not being insensitive, but sometimes in a moment when things are going on, they could have been wondering and saying, is it okay if we go sit over there? Is it okay if we approach her? I mean, isn't this the season of no rules? And keep that thought in mind when I talk about Logan. Tino comes in, interrupts Rachel and Hayden on their little escapade of the dying dog. And Rachel's like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, I'm gonna. Do you mind?" I think I know where Rachel's head was at. Okay, Hayden, you take this one-on-one time to whip out this book to talk about your dog. You're not talking about yourself in the sense of me getting to know you or you getting to know me, and like what brought you here, what prompted you to come here to take this journey. Nothing of the sort. Now think about the conversations that he was having with the guys and how he was busy parading around and talking about his ex-girlfriend, also disparaging her, whoever she is. That's why she's an ex, because she had to get away from that nonsense. And then what does he do during his interview? He says how insensitive Rachel was. She didn't even ask him if it was okay. She just got up and left and ran off with Tino. Now let's fast forward to Meatball. When Meatball has his one-on-one time with Rachel, and for the record, Meatball's name is James, but we all call him Meatball because he's a meatball enthusiast. Meatball has his one-on-one time with Rachel. He tells Rachel what Hayden was saying, the disparaging comments, calling them bitches, calling them names, talking about why he referenced Gabby as a what was it again? Rough around the edges, and how he made excuses to say all of those things. In my last video, I talked about my friend from the Bronx, where we share our thoughts on the show and what we think is going to happen or what happened. And she had made a comment about perhaps Hayden was put off with the fact that Gabby liked Nate and she liked Quincy and she liked Michael. I don't know. At this point right now, the way I feel, Hayden is about Hayden. I don't think it was about color, race, nothing. It was about the self-centered man who only cares about his needs and nobody else. To be recognized that he got up and left and flew across the country and left his dying dog to be there. That's all I know. And that's what I see. After Meatball discloses what Hayden said, an angry Rachel gets up. She walks over and they all see that she's upset because I would be livid too, let me tell you. She pulls Hayden aside. I am sure that Hayden already knew what was coming, especially since she pulled him aside to talk to him. She addresses what he said. And then, of course, this is what kills me about people. They make excuses about what came out of their mouth. Oh, no, but that's not what I said. Or that's not the way I said it. It just, everything that came out of his mouth was like one excuse after another. So after all that, after Rachel confronts him and he makes up excuses as to why he said the things that he said, that they didn't come out or it wasn't meant that way or it shouldn't have been taken that way. Because after all, when we're talking about people and we call them all sorts of names and bitches behind their back, and then when confronted, well, I didn't mean it that way. Well, gee, I don't know. You called me a bitch behind my back. How should I take it? Explain that one. There's no explanation. And right away, Rachel was like, "Can I walk you out?" And he goes, "Yes." He did not even hesitate. Not one bit. This man did not hesitate. He's sitting there, and all he could say was he couldn't wait to get back home to be with his dog. No remorse whatsoever. None. And that goes to show you what a narcissistic person that he is. Now let's fast forward to Logan. Okay. Logan is having feelings for Gabby. And in the struggle of what he is experiencing and feeling like he is not feeling anything for Rachel like the way he feels for Gabby, he had a conversation with Jesse Palmer, which is the correct thing to do. Don't talk to one of the guys about it because we all know that the guys are out for themselves and they are going to go back and tell Rachel, "Hey, you know what? Like, Logan is not really here for you." Here's where Logan made the mistake. When he accepted Rachel's rose from the beginning, not only did he accept her rose, okay, let's start from the beginning, Logan. You stuck your tongue in Rachel's mouth and you stuck your tongue in Gabby's mouth instead of making your intentions clear, because nobody knew that it was going to come in episode 3, I think it was, where everybody got separated. Okay, these are Gabby's roses. These are Rachel's roses. And if you want a rose from her, then you accept it. And if you don't, if it's Gabby that you're going after, then that's on you. Then you have to wait and see if Gabby wants you the same. That's the name of the game. Okay. And if Gabby doesn't want you, well, then I guess you're going home. End of story. Logan was only thinking of himself in that moment because he wanted to have a taste of both of them. And then when he found himself in a place where maybe he didn't think that Gabby and Rachel were going to talk about who they favored the most. Maybe Gabby was interested in Logan because remember, they had that moment and then Gabby and Rachel were talking and Rachel shared, oh, I kissed Logan. And Gabby didn't say anything to her back. She kept it quiet. She didn't say anything. Now, they saw all this shit, but she didn't say anything, probably thinking, you know what? I'm going to pass Logan over to her. I'm going to forego him because I have other guys that I'm interested in. That could have been her thought process. Who knows? And that's how I think how Logan came to be on Rachel's side. But I think that Logan was already feeling something for Gabby. And in order to stay in the game, he accepted Rachel's rose. And again, I'm sure, like all the other guys, they probably thought like for weeks on end, they were just going to be sticking their tongues in both of Gabby and Rachel's mouth until they make up their mind. Nobody thought there was going to be two separate journeys and the guys were going to be separated. Logan has this conversation with Jesse Palmer and admits to Jesse that he has more feelings for Gabby than he does for Rachel. Here's the thing that kills me that I don't understand. How is it that rules are like broken? The traditional bachelorette rules that they had from the beginning, now a lot of it is all thrown out the window. If Logan is having a conversation with Jesse Palmer, why can't he break the rules, have a one-to-one conversation with Rachel, or maybe have a one-to-one conversation with Gabby first to see where he stands? And that was my cat in the background, probably doing something that she's not supposed to be doing. As I was saying, either way, Logan should have been forthcoming and had a conversation where, if the case was, let's just say, for example, he has a conversation with Gabby and Gabby says, okay, I'm willing to explore this opportunity, but we need to talk to Rachel about it. Or he needs to talk to Rachel about it without having any backup, without Gabby being there. Because I think that if Gabby was there, then it would look like a tag team, like Rachel was being bombarded. That's not the word I'm looking for. There's another word that I'm looking for. I can't think of it right now. Ambushed. And it's just not going to be a good look for either one of them. So it would be better if Logan had a private conversation with Rachel about it. But long and behold, why would common sense happen? Here we are at the rose ceremony, and Logan has every opportunity to pull Rachel aside. Where was he? Was he talking with one of the guys? Was there not time? I don't understand what's going on here. How is it that there isn't enough time? It's not like he's fighting 15 other guys to get time. How many guys does Rachel have? Like 9 or 7? I can't even remember off of the top of my head. I am sure that there was enough time for him to have a conversation. So after this whole thing happens with Hayden, what do you think happens after that? Rachel wants nothing to do with the guys right now. She's pissed off again. She was pissed off with them when they didn't talk to her during the group date for Gabby's group date. Then she got pissed off again here at the rose ceremony. Here we are now. The cocktail hour is cut short and it's right to the rose ceremony. Now, the rose ceremony is both Rachel and Gabby at the same time in the same room with the guys. However, the guys are going into separate rooms after they get their roses. So now Rachel's mad. She wants nothing to do with the guys. She was pissed off with them during Gabby's group date. Now she's pissed off again, not with them, but with Hayden and everything that just occurred. Of course, Jesse Palmer comes in, and this was the one thing that I wrote on my card. Jesse Palmer comes in and says that something happened with Hayden that was disturbing. Disturbing is like an understatement. What just happened is beyond disturbing. Hayden has issues that he needs to sort out on his own time, on his own dime, whatever it is that's going on. Go back to Florida with, let me not even go there. Anyway, so here we are at the rose ceremony. Whoever gets a rose, they go into separate rooms. And they can't really see, like the guys who already got from group dates. Tyler got a group date rose. Tino got the one-on-one rose. And then Jason got the one-on-one rose with Gabby on her date. And Spencer got the rose on the group date, which was that boxing match. Now, as everybody is getting the roses, I'm going to read you. Rachel's roses went to Avon. I don't even know his Avon, Meatball, which I was surprised at. Zach got a rose. Ethan got a rose. Now, on Gabby's side, Eric got a rose. Nate got a rose. Johnny, Michael, and Mario. Like, I don't even understand that. Why would you pick Mario over Quincy? Now, I know I was annoyed with Quincy in the beginning, but I feel like Quincy should have gotten that rose and not Mario. But I guess Mario will be like the process of elimination because I don't see anything happening with Gabby and Mario. Here we are at the end. There are, I forget how many guys that are left. Logan is one of them. And what do you think happens? Rachel calls Logan. Logan, will you accept this rose? And I'm on the other end of my monitor saying, tell her the truth. Tell her the truth. Even while the rose ceremony was going on, I was like, interrupt it. Stop it. Say something. Say that you need to talk to her. He had every freaking opportunity to say something. And what does Logan do? In classic Logan fashion, Logan, will you accept this rose? Yes, I will. Why doesn't this surprise me? It's behaviors like this. You know, this whole trigger, this trigger thing. I get triggered. Like people get triggered over anything, okay? Admittedly, so did I. It bothers me that here we are. We're on episode 4. By 5, 6, I forget how many episodes are in total, probably 12. There should be some kind of feelings or establishment or feeling like, you know what, if you're not feeling it, it's okay. Yes, we know that you all like being on TV. Who doesn't like being on TV? The fact remains, what are you willing to sacrifice just to be on TV and make a fool of yourself at the end of the day? Like, why go through all that? Logan should have been forthcoming. And this is what I have issues with. People are not very forthcoming. People have a tendency of wanting to digress or avoid. I shouldn't say the word digress. More like people want to avoid and pass those feelings or that blame. They want to, what we call, pass the buck. They want to pass the buck. They don't want to deal because it's just easier to transfer those emotions to make somebody else feel bad so that they don't have to feel bad. Does that make any sense? Needless to say, I am not happy, but I'm not surprised. Yes, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, it's all about drama. But at the same time, I'm like, where is the common sense in all of this? I think Rachel and Gabby had been through enough with Clayton and his idiocy. And then, like, here we go again that you have a dude who is feeling feelings for somebody else, but yet he's going to linger around. Okay, yeah, I could understand in I guess in Logan's logic, right? In his head, he's probably thinking to himself, well, if I accept this rose, that will give me another chance to tell Gabby how I really feel. But you still accepted a rose from a person that you're not into. And this is the shit that pisses me off. If you're not into somebody, why are we playing games? Aren't we grown people? Or are we not grown enough to just say how we really feel and not think, oh my God, that person is going to go off the deep end and they're going to stalk me and they're going to do this and they're going to do that? Guess what? You're not that special for people to go out of their way to stalk you or do anything else. So if that's what Logan is thinking in his head, I'm not talking about Logan anymore. Let me just be real. Sometimes I got to put my messages out there because it seems it's the only way that I can. Finally, I want to close with this. From the beginning, both Gabby and Rachel talked about their ups and downs with this journey, their disappointments, their fears of rejection. Those fears are very, very real. And not just in the situation of being on television and then asking somebody, will you accept this rose? And the person could turn around and say no. But this can happen in any season. No one is obligated to accept any roses. And for me, I feel like if you're in that type of situation, instead of waiting for the rose ceremony and wasting everybody's time, wouldn't it just be easier to forego that rose? Because maybe that person can actually give a rose to somebody that they can give them a chance and pursue that relationship. Some people are just too damn selfish to think in that logical sense. And I think that is the problem with a lot of people. They want to play things out for as long as they can until they can't anymore. And to hear them discuss the rejection and the feelings behind their journey, and even Gabby talking about her date with Jason and Jason feeling like he's closed off, he really opened up fairly quickly. And she opened up about her mom again and the relationship that she had with her mother, and basically not in contact with her mother anymore. One of the greatest things about Gabby is that she goes to therapy to resolve those issues, even though they are clearly very painful for her. I think that Gabby is such a beautiful person, and the connection that she had with Jason on her date. I mean, even things that he talked about with the whole doing certain things and then loving it and then hating it because it wasn't something that he really wanted to do. There was definitely a connection there that they had that I believe, again, in my own personal opinion, I believe that they should explore. As for Rachel, I don't know. I kind of have different feelings about Rachel. I think that she's a beautiful person visually. I think she's beautiful. But then I also feel there are other challenges with her that make me wonder, what kind of a relationship is she looking for? What will make her happy? We've pretty much established that she gets very hurt by rejection. We got that part. The other part is, what is she really looking for? Is she really looking for love? I think that at the end of all of this, if they did find somebody, I believe that Gabby's relationship will move forward, and chances are Rachel's will not. Again, it all depends. Once we understand the challenges that we have to put forward and we want to deal with those challenges head on because we love that person, that's what makes all the difference in the world. Somebody like Logan, who's just up and down and all over the place. Well, I'm not sure if I want this and I'm not sure if I want her. Well, let me find out this, let me find out that. When you're like all over the place and then you're dragging other people with you, that's when it becomes unhealthy. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for the other person, because if the other person is ready to be in a relationship and is in love and wants to make a commitment with you, but you're wishy-washy and all over the place, how is that going to work out? Because you're holding on to a person, the person is allowing it, and nothing is happening. And that's not healthy. It just doesn't work. I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen in episode 5 of The Bachelorette. Now that I've got everything together, I'm going to do Married at First Sight next. So please look out for that. And I will be doing a podcast on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, as well as Real Housewives of Atlanta, and most likely Southern Charm. So I have my work cut out for me with all of these reality TV shows. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen in with Gabby and Rachel's journey? And as always, thank you for watching. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.